Ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellow travelers on this journey of life, I stand before you today with a message of hope, of faith, and of strength. A message that says, nothing is impossible. When we look around at the world, when we observe the great challenges that lie before us, it is easy to feel overwhelmed. It is easy to look at the mountain and believe it cannot be climbed. Yet I tell you this, nothing is impossible, not if we dare to believe, not if faith is the foundation upon which everything is built, the quiet, unshakable belief that holds us steady in the storm. And yet for many, faith remains elusive, often misunderstood, and sometimes even questioned when life seems to twist in ways we never expected. It is only in those moments of uncertainty, those moments when doubt feels like a heavy weight upon our shoulders, that faith reveals its true power. For faith is not a feeling of ease, nor is it the absence of fear, but rather it is the choice to believe in something greater. And so it is through faith that we learn to endure, to press on, to rise again after each fall, and to keep moving forward, even when the way is unclear. For faith is the fuel that keeps our spirits burning bright, even in the face of adversity. And it is through this enduring faith that we discover our true strength. Not the strength we think we have when things are easy, but the strength we find when we lean into the unseen, the strength that comes from knowing that we are never alone. And yet the battle with doubt is not something that happens once and is over, for it is a continual struggle, a constant reminder that we must remain vigilant, that we must keep our minds and hearts focused on the truth, because doubt is cunning. It will return when we least expect. Overcoming doubt also requires patience, for it is a process, a gradual unfolding, a journey that takes time. And in our fast-paced world, we often expect instant results, immediate success, and immediate proof that we are on the right path. But the truth is, success is built over time. And so is confidence. And overcoming doubt is not about a single moment of triumph, but about consistent effort, about showing up every day, even when we don't feel like it, about doing the hard work, even when the outcome is uncertain. And yet perseverance is not always easy. It is not something that comes naturally in the face of failure, for failure, as we know, can be a cruel teacher, one that speaks loudly in the language of disappointment and regret. But it is in those moments of failure, in the face of that perseverance reveals its true power, because it isn't about avoiding failure. It is about continuing in the face of it, about getting back up when we are knocked down, about pushing through the pain, the fear, and the uncertainty, and seeing beyond the immediate setback to the greater goal, the greater purpose that lies ahead, because perseverance does not ask for an easy path. It asks for the courage to keep walking, to keep going even when the way is unclear, to trust that the journey, though difficult, is worth it, because every step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to the fulfillment of our dreams. And it is this belief in the bigger picture and the value of the journey that fuels our perseverance, reminding us that it is not about instant success, but about the long, hard road that leads to lasting victory. In this journey, perseverance teaches us the value of patience, for it is often not the most talented nor the most gifted who succeed, but those who remain, who continue, who push past their limitations, their fears, and their doubts, those who understand that success is not a destination, but a process, a series of small steps, each one building upon the other. And while the process may seem slow, while the progress may seem invisible, perseverance is a quiet assurance that we are moving forward, even when we cannot see the result. And it is in this patient pursuit that we find the strength to endure the trials, the setbacks, and the failures that inevitably come. For we know that every moment spent persevering, every moment spent refusing to quit, is a moment that brings us closer to the person we are destined to be. And in the end, it is this patience, this resilience, that makes the final victory all the sweeter, because we understand that it was not given to us, but earned through every challenge, every struggle, and every moment we refuse to give up. In the power of perseverance, we also find the key to growth, for it is through the challenges, through the trials, that we are shaped, refined, and made stronger. And it is in these moments that we discover the true depth of our character, the resilience we never knew we had, and the potential that lies dormant within us all, waiting to be awakened. And it is this growth that fuels our perseverance, for we understand that every challenge, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to become more than we, to step into the next version of ourselves, the version that is stronger, wiser, and more capable. And it is this understanding that gives us the strength to keep going, to push through even when we feel like we have nothing left to give. because we know that on the other side of every and yet vision is not just about seeing the destination clearly. It is about understanding the journey. For vision teaches us that the path to our dreams is rarely straight, rarely without obstacles, and rarely without moments of doubt. It is in those moments of challenge, those moments when we are tempted to turn back, that vision becomes the anchor, the reminder of why we started in the first place, the reason we must keep going, because vision is not merely a goal, it is a deep-seated belief in the possibility of that goal. A belief that no matter how difficult the road may be, the destination is worth the struggle, and it is in the pursuit of that vision, persistence required to turn our dreams into reality, that we discover the true depth of our strength and resilience. For vision is not a passive force. It demands action. It calls us to move forward, to take risks, and to believe in something greater than ourselves. And through this process, we grow, we evolve, and we become the person capable of achieving what once seemed impossible. And in this journey, vision is something that stands alone. It is intertwined with purpose, for vision gives us a sense of purpose, a reason to wake up every day, a reason to put one foot of the other, even when it feels like the world is pushing against us. And in the pursuit of vision, we must also learn to embrace the unknown, for the journey toward our dreams is filled with uncertainty. And there will be times when the future seems unclear, when the next step is not obvious, and when fear threatens to hold us. But it is in these moments of uncertainty that vision becomes even more powerful, for it is the thing that keeps us moving forward, even when we cannot see the next step. And it is this willingness to step into the unknown, to trust in the vision despite the fear, that leads to growth, to discovery, and to the fulfillment of dreams. Because when we face the unknown with vision in our hearts, we are not paralyzed by fear, but driven by the belief that the journey is worth the risk. That every step into the unknown brings us closer to the person we are becoming and to the life we are meant to live. And it is in this journey, with all its uncertainty, that we find the true power. And yet, unseen potential is not something that simply appears out of nowhere. It requires awareness, introspection, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. For many of us live with a limited view of ourselves, one shaped by past experiences, past failures, or the voices of others who have doubted us, and these limitations can create a false ceiling, a barrier that prevents us from realizing just how far we can truly go. But when we dare to challenge these beliefs, when we dare to look within and acknowledge that there is more to us than what meets the eye, we begin to see glimpses of that potential, sparks of brilliance that remind us of our capabilities. And while it may take time, while it may require effort, the process of uncovering this unseen potential becomes a journey of self-discovery, of peeling away the layers of doubt and fear to reveal the strength, creativity, and resilience that lie within. And it is through this process that we come to understand that our greatest limitations are often self-imposed, and that the key to unlocking our potential lies in changing our mindset and choosing to believe that we are capable of more. This journey of uncovering our unseen potential is rarely linear, and there will be moments of frustration, moments when progress seems slow, and moments when it feels as though we are not making any headway at all. But these moments are not signs of failure. They are part of the process. For potential is not something that can be forced into existence. It must be nurtured, cultivated, and allowed to grow at its own pace. And just as a seed must be planted, watered, and cared for before it can break through the soil, our potential requires patience, persistence, and time. And while it may feel like we are stuck or stagnant, we must remember that growth is not always visible on the surface, and that the roots of our potential are growing beneath the surface, out of sight. And it is only when we trust the process, when we continue to show up each day. Furthermore, the unseen potential within us is often unlocked through risk, through the willingness to step outside of our comfort zone and embrace the unknown. Because it is in the unfamiliar, in the new and unexplored, that we are forced to tap into abilities we never knew we had. To stretch beyond the boundaries we've set for ourselves and to break free from the limitations that have kept us from growing. And while taking risks can be intimidating, it is often the key to discovering new aspects of our potential. For when we are pushed to face the unfamiliar, we are forced to rise to the occasion, to adapt, and to grow in ways that would not be possible within the confines of our comfort zones. And it is through these risks, these bold steps forward, that we learn to trust in ourselves and our ability to navigate the unknown, and in the strength that comes from stepping into the discomfort. And when we do this, we realize that our potential was never limited by the circumstances around us. but only by the boundaries we placed on ourselves. And when those boundaries are removed, we are free to soar. In addition, the process of uncovering unseen potential is one of constant evolution, for our potential is not a static, one-time discovery, but an ongoing journey of growth and self-improvement. And just as we continuously learn and adapt in every area of our hope is a beacon that shines through the darkness, a guiding light that illuminates the path when everything else seems uncertain. For when we are lost in the storm, when life feels overwhelming, and the weight of the world presses against us, it is hope that keeps us moving forward, reminding us that no matter how deep the darkness, there is always a light that can be found. And it is in this light that we find the strength to press on, to rise above our circumstances, to believe that there is something better waiting for us. For hope does not just wish for things to change. It fuels our belief in the possibility of change, and it is through that belief that we find the courage to take the next step, to continue our journey, and to trust that no matter how hard the road may be, hope will always be there to guide us like a steadfast flame in the distance, flickering but never extinguished. In addition, hope is the foundation of resilience, for it is when we have hope that we can endure even the most difficult of circumstances. It is hope that allows us to bounce back from failure, to learn from our mistakes, and to continue pursuing our dreams despite the setbacks we encounter. In the face of struggle, we often feel lost, questioning the meaning of our pain, wondering why we must endure so much suffering. But transformation through struggles teaches us that the pain is not without purpose, that every hardship we face is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become more than we were before. For through each trial, we are given a chance to reevaluate our priorities, to shed old habits, mindsets, and beliefs that no longer serve us, and to embrace new perspectives that allow us to evolve. And in this process, we begin to realize that our struggles are not just obstacles to overcome, but teachers guiding us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves, of life, and of the world around us, showing us that even in our darkest moments, there is potential for transformation. Furthermore, transformation through struggles is often accompanied by a profound shift in perspective, for it is in facing the hardest of circumstances that we begin to see life differently. For we no longer take the simple things for granted. We learn to appreciate the moments of peace, the moments of joy, and the moments of clarity that once seemed insignificant. It is through struggle that we come to understand the depth of our own humanity, that we learn compassion for others who are going through similar trials, and we develop a sense of gratitude for the strength that we gain through the process. And in this way, transformation is not only an internal shift, but an external one as well, as we begin to show up in the world with greater empathy, greater understanding, and a deeper appreciation for the struggles that others face, recognizing that in the end, we're all connected by our shared experiences of hardship. And it is through this connection that we find healing and strength, both for ourselves and for those around us. In the end, transformation through struggles teaches us that the most significant changes we undergo are often the ones we never see coming, for it is in the most difficult of times that we are forged into the strongest version. Moreover, taking action requires us to be intentional, to align our actions with our values, our purpose, and our vision, because without that alignment, we risk taking actions that are disconnected from our true desires, leading us down paths that are not in harmony with our long-term goals. And it is in this intentionality and the conscious choice to take action in the direction of what truly matters that we find fulfillment. For when we take action that is rooted in our purpose, it no longer feels like work. It becomes part of who we are. It becomes an expression of our passion and our vision for the future. And this kind of action is the most powerful kind because it is driven by clarity, by purpose, and by the deep belief that what we are doing is meaningful. And when our actions align with our inner values, we find a sense of flow and ease that makes the journey much more rewarding. And yet, the process of taking action is not without its setbacks, for there will be moments when things do not go as planned, when our actions lead to failure, frustration, or confusion. But even in these moments, taking action remains essential, because failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process, and every setback, every mistake is an opportunity to learn, to adjust, and to keep moving forward with even greater wisdom. For it is through our failures that we gain the insight, the experience, and the resilience to continue taking action, to refine our approach, and to try again, because those who succeed are not those who never fail, but those who never stop taking action. who embrace failure as part of the journey, who use it as fuel to keep going, knowing that each failure brings them one step closer to their success. Taking action also requires us to overcome fear, for fear is one of the greatest obstacles that prevents us from moving forward. And yet fear is not something that we must avoid. It is something we must face, because in facing our fears, we take away their power. And we show ourselves that we are capable of more than we ever thought possible. For every time we choose to act despite our fear, we grow stronger, braver, and more confident in our ability to navigate the unknown. And it is in these moments of courage, in these moments when we step into the discomfort, that we discover our true potential. Because taking action in the face of fear is not just about moving forward. It is about proving to ourselves that we are capable of achieving what we once thought impossible. And in this way, fear becomes not an obstacle, but a catalyst for growth, transformation, and action. Furthermore, taking action is not just about individual success. It is also about the impact we can have on others. For when we take action, we inspire those around us to do the same. And in a world that often feels stagnant, it is the action of one person that can spark change, ignite new ideas, and inspire a movement. For when we take action toward our goals, we create a ripple effect, and the energy we put into the world begins to influence others to take action as well. And together we can create something far greater than what any one individual could achieve alone. And in this way, taking action becomes a shared responsibility, a collective effort that pushes us all forward toward a better future. For the actions of one person have the power to inspire countless others to take their own steps. And through this collective action, we can create change on a larger scale. Moreover, taking action is a mindset. It is the belief that what we do matters, that every step, no matter how small, is part of the greater whole, and that we have the ability to shape our own future through the choices we make today. For taking action is not just about achieving a goal. It is about living with intention, with purpose, and with the understanding that every moment is an opportunity to move closer to the life we want to create. And in this way, taking action becomes a way of life, not a single event or decision, but a continuous process. In the face of adversity, unity becomes the anchor that keeps us grounded. It is the foundation upon which we stand when the storms of life threaten to tear us down. For when we are united, we are not alone. And in our togetherness, we find courage to face the unknown, to take on challenges that might otherwise be too daunting to confront, because unity does not just give us strength, it gives us hope. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, we do not have to face our struggles in isolation, that through unity, we draw from the collective strength of those around us. And when we join forces, we discover that the impossible is made possible, and that together there is no force greater than the power of a united people. For unity is not just source of strength, it is a source. Moreover, unity is the foundation of community, for without unity there can be no true community, no sense of belonging, no shared sense of purpose, and it is in the strength of unity that we find the deepest connection, the relationships that enrich our lives and give us a sense of meaning and belonging. For when we are united as a group of individuals, we are a family, a collective force working together for the common good. And it is through this bond that we find support. And a higher purpose requires us to move beyond the limitations of our own fears and doubts. For it is easy to become discouraged by the obstacles that stand in our way, to feel that the challenges are too great, that the road ahead is too long. But when we are guided by a higher purpose, we are reminded that the struggles are not in vain, that every difficulty we encounter is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger, because our higher purpose is not about avoiding pain, but about embracing it. For it is through our challenges that we gain the wisdom, the strength, and the resilience needed to continue on the path, knowing that the obstacles we face are merely stepping stones on the journey toward fulfilling that greater calling. And when we remain committed to this higher purpose, we find the strength to persevere, to keep moving forward, no matter how daunting the journey may seem. For we know that the reward is not found in the ease of the path, but in the fulfillment of the purpose itself. And in this way, a higher purpose gives us the courage to face whatever comes our way with unwavering determination. Living with a higher purpose also calls us to act with integrity. For when we are aligned with something greater than ourselves, we become stewards of that purpose, responsible for carrying it forward with honesty and humility. And it is through this integrity that we build trust with others, that we earn respect, and that we inspire others to also live with purpose and conviction, because our actions are a reflection of the values we hold dear. And when those values are rooted in a high calling, they guide us to make decisions that are not driven by selfish ends. In addition, living with a higher purpose allows us to embrace the interconnectedness of all things. For when we recognize that our actions affect others, that our words and deeds create ripples that spread out into the world, we become more mindful of how we engage with the world and how we interact with others. And in this mindfulness, we find a greater sense of responsibility, for we understand that the pursuit of a higher purpose is not just about us, but about the collective well-being. When we act with this awareness, we are called to uplift others, to support them in their own journeys, and to contribute to a world where compassion, kindness, and cooperation reign. Because we understand that a higher purpose is not just something that benefits us individually, but something that benefits the whole. And in this understanding, we become agents of positive change, working together to create a world that is more inclusive and more harmonious. And in doing so, we fulfill our higher purpose, not just for ourselves, but for the greater good of all. Ultimately, a higher purpose is the force that gives our lives meaning and direction, for it provides us with the motivation to keep going, the strength to overcome adversity, and the clarity to see what truly matters. And it is this higher calling that inspires us to make a difference, to serve others and to live with integrity, knowing that our actions, no matter how small,